Hello, everyone. It's Pat. I'm coming in here with a quick little weekend reading. Today's Friday the 7th, so happy Friday to you. I did not get to a week-long reading this week because, it's a transformational month, and at least I feel those energies, anyways. Especially since the end of May and the new moon coming in at the beginning of this month. I know I've been making significant changes in my life, and I had to put my focus on those in this coming week. So anyways, just a quick little read for the weekend. I picked out a few cards for us to see what's going on. So let's get to that. I picked an archangel for us this weekend, and the card that came out, or the angel that came out, is Haniel, with this message of passion, renewed passion. And I saw this in actually, it came up in one of my astrological reports too, but it certainly speaks to, the energy that's going on. Okay, so for you personally, it can be renewed passion and excitement in a career, or some new career you want to endeavor upon, or self-employment, or something that you are involved with work-wise. It could also mean that there's new passion coming into your life in the sense of, new romance, new relationship, something along those lines. I also just think in general, for what's going on in the world right now, whether it's just in regard to politics and what's going on here in the United States, people are feeling very passionate about it. They might have strong opinions. They're really getting incited. Their passion is getting incited to get, things to change, or to, anyways, it's just exciting their passions. People are speaking out passionately um, because of everything that's going on. So it's renewed, passion that way. And it's kind of a renewed passion that does lead to change, positive change. So there's certainly nothing wrong with that. So if you find that people around you expressing things very passionately, and that could be, passionate in a very positive way, or, passion can also come up in a way that's, doesn't, where it doesn't come out so nice. It's still passion. It's still that fiery, ignited energy. But anyways, so that energy is around, okay? And I went back to the Akashic Tarot because I thought it was so interesting, that reading that happened with, came out last week. The beginning of the week had that card with the log in the middle of the road, and it was blocking the road. And in a very, what I thought was so interesting was there was an obstruction in the road, and the news later that day, or the beginning of that week, was all about Mr. Mueller and him presenting his stating his views, making a public statement about what he found about obstruction of justice. It was like the topic of obstruction was all over the place. So it was a very literal kind of card that was telling us what was coming up. So I picked out some for this weekend, and we're going to see what they have to say for us, okay? Alrighty, so we have some interesting cards that have come out for the weekend with this Akashic Record deck. So, but they very much support this, I think, this message from Haniel about passion. The first we got is this one, the Six of Forces, and it shows you a huge waterfall. And it's about a force. At a personal level, it definitely is a card about, passion, that you are kind of a dynamo, and that there's, you are your own force. You're kind of moving forward and powerfully, like the way this waterfall is. Water is very fluid in its motion and in motion, and it has a lot of power behind it. Of course, I also think in a very literal way, this could be about water being an issue again over the weekend. Areas maybe being flooded, or, maybe levees or dams even breaking, and that there's water-related events. It'd be nice if those, maybe, for some of you, maybe it's water, fun and games, water-related events. But I think given that this was a very literal, these cards are very literal for the last reading, I think it definitely could mean that over the weekend we're going to see some water-related events in other areas of the world, because I know there are other areas of the world, and this is not just the United States, that are having unusual flooding at this time. So that may still be an issue. We may hear more about that over the weekend. The Six of Keys is this one called the increscent moon, and it's about kind of like where we are now. We're in between the new moon and the full moon. And this is about, expansion, and, it's kind of growing into the full moon. And so it's about an increase in abundance, prosperity, creativity, etc. Okay. It's definitely, and the sculptor in the picture is, he's sculpting a bust there. But it kind of suggests there's, the work that you've been doing is sculpting out something for you, and something that's going to bring an increase, okay, of some kind. Monetarily, expansion of reputation, things like that, or your, how you're thought of, I want to say, in the world and in your work, And the last card that came out was this one. Again, it's a card from the forces, and it's the Five of Forces, and it says summer, winter. Okay, so it's about seasonal cycles, but again, I think in a very literal way, this is speaking to the fact that I know even in our country, in the United States, I mean, right now, where I am, here in New England, it's very much more moving into summer. Okay, I've got my peace, love, and bare feet shirt on already. So, but there are other areas of the country that are still being devastated by very bad weather. There's been a really long, extended winter. So there's both going on. I know in some other areas of the world, they got pelted and nailed with really huge hailstones, and it just ghastly weather. So there's really both elements of that, and so we may hear and see some more about that over this weekend. It's not done yet in some places, but for a lot of us too, it may speak to that in maybe where you are. The transition, it's finally transitioning over to summer, and the Five of Forces is, let's see. It speaks to transitioning cycles. In many ways, it speaks to increased activity. When we change over into the summer season, people are setting up their plans for the summer. They're setting up vacations, places that they're going to go. Maybe if you have a student in your household who's graduated, or one that's going to be graduating in the coming year, maybe you're planning college visits. So it signals a time around the end of the weekend that, and going into the early part of the week, where maybe you're planning your activities for the summer, planning your travel. It's that time, planning your social gatherings, and it's just that, it's that time when things start to move. And I alluded to a little bit of this with my guide, Simon, who gave me a message around earlier in June, that things were really going to start to move and change at a much faster pace. So anyways, that's what it signals a bit of. So there's a lot of activity, or at least planning activity, looking at what's ahead for you for the summer at the end of the weekend, okay? It might be some of your personal goals, or it might be something much larger than that. But I also do, I think in a very literal way, as I mentioned, it speaks to the different weather climates that are going on now, and that have been going on in the world, and we may hear more about in terms of, what's going on with nature and the forces of nature. But also, I think in our, in our country, and what's going on in our government, there's a transition. This signals the beginning of a transition that's going on, or that's going to go on. there's a lot of going to be a lot of increased activity and forward movement with, and with things coming to light. So anyways, that is our main few cards for the weekend, and I'm just gonna, because I felt drawn to them, pick a quick little fairy card. So ooh, okay, there's a few that spilled out here. They wanted to come out for the weekend. So new opportunity came out, financial flow, and golden opportunity. Wow, these two bookended the financial flow. So for some of us out there, that signals that there's a huge opportunity in front of us that has a lot of financial well-being attached to it, or increased financial flow. So be on the lookout for that for yourself. Wow. And this one literally says, your prayers have been answered, which is really sweet when that happens. Anyways, that is a quick weekend reading. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.